Hi, and welcome to Newswire LA. I'm your host, Chin Thomasangsi. You might want to know what gives with the helmet and the vest today. Well, we're out with the City of Los Angeles' Bureau of Streetlighting. As you know, this is the second part of a two-part series that takes a look inside of this department. It's part of Newswire's continuing series called Inside City Hall. Today we're going to spend the day out with crews who are on the streets, converting a neighborhood from conventional street lighting to LED lighting. We're going to find out from them what the process takes and anything you as a citizen can do to help out. Later, we're going to come back here to the main operations yard in East Hollywood, and we're going to take an informal tour of the department's Museum of Street Lighting. So sit back and enjoy. This is our look at the City of Los Angeles' Bureau of Street Lighting. We'll be back shortly. The morning began when we met our Bureau crew at their work site, which was located just west of Carthay Circle. The crew you see here is one of several that are fully dedicated to handling LED conversions. In other words, changing street lamps is their task day in and day out. After setting out safety cones, the members of this crew get right down to the business at hand. The crews, as quietly as possible, move into position to begin their day's work. This conversion consists of about 6 blocks worth of street lamps. Their target? This Cobra Head street lamp and all of the Cobra Head street lamps located in this area. Here to explain the process is street lighting supervisor and member of the energy efficiency program, Palani M. Segui. He and I are watching from the ground while a crew member works high above the street. We're going to let you watch as the process takes place.
Well, basically, they disable the old unit. And we're careful about disabling it because we salvage it, we recycle it, and check and make sure everything meets parameters in there, because we do find issues with older posts, damages, various things, tree trims, things of that sort. And then from that point, they pull the old unit, install the new unit.
What happens to those old units once they're taken down?
Basically, everything is recycled. We store them at our yard, and we have an auction company that comes and picks them up and auctions them off.
Okay, so they don't go as replacement parts or anything like that for the city?
No.
Now the process of mounting the new fixture is basically the removal process in reverse.
Basically, my crews have a 5-minute limit basically on their time as far as any accessories thing they do. Periodically, we find a bad fuse, we find BO wires, bad wires. Anything we can do to make a quick repair, we do. If it's a major repair, then they document it, and at the end of the day, they turn it into me. Unless it's something extreme, then they'll call me immediately. I notify the maintenance and repair district of the issue, and they put it in their system.
Within minutes, the new LED head comes to life for the first time. On every installation, the crew member places their hand over the photocell, which should cause the head to light. In this case, everything works out fine. This process is called a flash test. Now he can maneuver away and move on to the next pole. So far we've made every conversion look easy, but that's not always the case. This cobra head is covered by tree branches and leaves. This situation currently cuts down on the amount of light that actually hits the ground and the street. Before the new LED head is put into place, it is decided that those branches need to be cut back. What happens now? Does the crew call street maintenance and have them send out a crew? No, so they will handle the job themselves.
Batteries. Okay. Just go ahead and bring it out here. All right. There you go. Good? Yeah, go ahead and bring it on down.
Now that the area around the head is cleared, the actual work of removing the cobra head and placing the LED can begin.
Bird, are you going to trim anymore? Yeah. Okay. Take a look at it.
In mere minutes, the job is complete. When they arrive and they begin installing the lights, one member is preparing the newer light to go up.
Correct.
And I see that he does a scan of the photocell. What's that? Why does he do that?
Yeah, well, that photocell is a new technology. It's called a node, and it's basically somewhat of a smart PE cell, a photoelectric cell. That photoelectric cell, besides just turning the light off and on at dusk and dawn, it also communicates with a computer system. And it gives us information concerning the light, if it's operating within normal parameters, if it's coming on, if it's burning in the daytime, if it's using excessive wattage, various other things.
Wow, so it does everything that the average person would do. Let's say I saw my light burning. You guys would already know that.
Yeah, it's in our system. We go through our system on a routine basis, check. We have engineers that also verify what the system is doing, and it's basically a smart PE cell.
And I noticed that one of the members of the crew also marks the unit before it goes up.
Right. We do a date of install for warranty purpose, because of the warranty on it. If the unit fails, then we get a free replacement.
Can you show us up close what one of these units looks like?
Yes, this is what we call a 30 LED. It's a beta leadway unit. The leadway is the model. The manufacturer is beta. It's a typical unit that we're putting in residential areas. The units vary by the number of LEDs. In the past, everything was referred to as according to wattage, because that was the standard. But now we grade everything by how many LEDs are in it. And depending on the technology, you could have one with less LEDs and with right next to one that has more LEDs and be the same amount of light output because of the technology.
How many LEDs are we using in Los Angeles?
The typical residential is right now we're using a 30 LED, which is equivalent to a 100 watt HPS or 100 watt high pressure sodium light, which is basically what they're pulling down today.
How much energy are these things pulling?
Approximately 50% less.
And what's the life on these bulbs? Or these units, I should say.
These units, they're approximately an 8 to 10 year.
And Ed Ibrahimian, when we sat down with him, he told us that one of the biggest issues, and we were surprised by this, is copper theft.
Yes.
Of wiring in the city.
Yes.
Talk to me about how that occurs.
I don't want to go into detail on it because I don't want to tell people how to do it. We find out about it through various ways. One is constituents call in and complain that the lights are out, and crews come out and find out that there's wire theft. We have special crews that's all they do is wire theft. And what we do to prevent it in the future is we seal up the boxes. We have a special box that eventually the whole city will be covered in. and that it's not impenetrable, but it's a deterrent. And then also another way we find out is that our crews go out for normal repairs and they find that the wire's been stolen. And it's the demographics. Most people think this type of things happens in the lower income areas, but it happens throughout the whole city. Anywhere that there is wires that they can have access to, that they can feel free to do what they want to do, it happens. I work throughout the city from the lowest to the richest, and it happens throughout the entire city. And it's a thing that we're constantly working on, constantly coming up with ways to deter it, and it's it's an issue.
What can we do to help you?
Notify the citizens that when you see somebody out there doing something suspicious, day or night, call LAPD. LAPD is fully aware of the situation. You can call the different bureaus. You can call 311 and ask for street lighting. We know where our crews are on a normal basis. I've gotten numerous calls on my crews to question what this crew was out here doing. They felt like they may have been stealing. And I can ID the truck, ID my employees. I have a map every day of where my crews are working, so I know exactly the quadrants are working in and so forth. But the biggest thing is that citizens need to be involved, and if they see something suspicious, they can take pictures and call the police, call the different bureaus, and let them know, hey, this is what I saw, and this is what I'm looking at right now. Because this is not something that's done in 2 minutes. This is something that takes some time. And a lot of times what the guys do is they come out in the daytime and cut the wires, and they come back at night and steal it. And in most areas, if somebody sees something, and people complain about the lights out, well, if you have to be involved. If you want better, you have to be involved.
Do these guys sometimes ever foul up and end up electrocuting themselves?
It's in the paper on a routine basis throughout the country of guys being electrocuted. People with their several months ago or so, I read a report of a guy that was out there with his kid in his car, stealing wire. He was arrested. His child obviously went to child services. And you're dealing with electricity, and we have high voltage systems. We do have some high voltage systems. They're 5,000 volt. Most people assume that the lights are off, there's no power. That is not correct.
And I was noticing that with your guys replacing the LED units. It almost, after he puts it in, I see the light go on. So there is power surging through those wires.
Yes.
And they're surging through 24 hours a day.
Yes.
We've been out here this morning just west of Carthay Circle, watching crews from the Bureau of Streetlighting converting this neighborhood's conventional lights to the all-new LED fixtures. The process itself has been really interesting and informative. Our hosts have been great, and they've really gone out of their way to show us the nuts and bolts of what they do and how it affects us. When we ended our last segment, we found out how we could help prevent or even stop copper theft in the city. Well, there's one more issue that's come up since we've been out here, and I'd like to tackle it before we wrap up and head back to the maintenance yard. We saw a frustrated motorist get out of her car and actually move a safety cone. That got us wondering. Now, we saw an interesting situation, and I'm just going to have a little fun with it. I'm driving my car. I'm late for a meeting. I got to get there in 10 minutes, and I got to get from here to Venice Boulevard. The way your truck is parked right now, I can actually get past you, but you've got your orange cone in the street. Can I get out and move that cone and pass you?
It is illegal. It is against the law for you to take and move that cone. You have disrupted a work area now, and anything that happens from that factor, you are responsible for. And you may end up causing a major accident and not even realize it as you drive down the street. The crew puts the cones out for the safety of the public, for the crew, and for our equipment. And we've seen more than once where people were in a rush and squeezed by something and created an accident, and they were 5 minutes late before. Well, now they have to sit and wait for the police to come. And if you leave a site like that after you've hit and not given information, not wait for the police, that's a hit and run felony. And you will be prosecuted by the city of Los Angeles.
So folks, remember, moving a safety cone is an illegal act, and there could be legal ramifications that result. If you think this is just another poke in the eye for you, see it from the crew's point of view. Just in general, what do citizens need to know when they're passing through areas where city crews are working, such as your crew? What do you want them to know?
One is to be respectful of the crew. They're out trying to do a job, and 99% of the time that they're doing a job is a safety issue. The lighting is a safety issue. They're not out closing streets because they get a kick out of it. We're doing it because we have to. City crews are human beings just like everybody else, and our number one goal is safety for the public and for the employees. Employees get hit, everybody reads about it all the time. If you take 2 extra minutes and just look and evaluate and follow the instructions given to you, your life is a lot easier, and the crews go home to their wives and families. This is a difficult job. Not a lot of people want this job. Not a lot of people want to do this. Residents see them and are amazed at what we do in the time fashion we do. We always hear all the bad about city employees, but look around, and if you see an employee doing a good job, how about calling in for that?
And if you'd like to make that call, we remind you, the best number to dial is 311 and ask for the Bureau of Streetlighting. You can't help but be impressed with how they attack and conquer the tasks they've been charged with. This wraps up our time in the field. We're heading back to East Hollywood in the Bureau's Central Maintenance Yard. We'll show you some exciting sights, including the Bureau's Unofficial Museum of Streetlighting. 30 minutes east of our previous location is the Bureau's Central Maintenance Yard. The front office building is relatively nondescript, but don't be fooled. Behind the building and the fences that surround it are acres of everything needed to keep LA's street lighting system operational. What you see here is just a small sample of what's to come. These are shelves loaded with miscellaneous parts. We see lamppost bases, finials, collars, and decorative caps. Most fit the cast iron standards that are still in use throughout the city today. Though most of these parts are salvage, new replica parts can be obtained in some cases, and the Bureau's weld shop can also repair damaged pieces, which also save the taxpayers money. Let's have a little fun. Let's say I'm looking for a finial. That's the decorative cap on top of this pole. Also, let's go for the base. For our purposes, let's say the base has been damaged by a car. Can I find it back at the yard? Well, yes indeed. Here's the finial. The base. Now let me look. I know it's here somewhere. It's here. Over here maybe. And here's the base. Indulge me one more time. Let's say this light standard on the West Boulevard Bridge in Mid-City was damaged. This looks like a big job, right? Well, the Bureau can handle it. Look right over there. 2 replacements are waiting and ready to go. There are so many new and replacement parts here that I want to show you. So let's just walk around and take a look, shall we? Talking us through some of this will be BSL Division Manager Chris Mossman. You'll make his acquaintance later in this piece. Los Angeles' street lighting network covers 400 square miles, about 5,000 miles worth of road, and over 200,000 plus street lights. When these poles go down due to car accidents or other events, how do you guys replace them?
Well, we try to replace these in kind because there's none unlike them. We don't have any more of the original bronze lights, but we have some replicas made in aluminum, and the poles are cast iron, and we can have the parts recast. We also have a very good shop here where we do repairs to a lot of our old cast iron and steel streetlight poles. That's part of our expertise here. We have a couple of welders that know how to fix some of these because some of them, the ones in the field, are all that's left. We have no spare, especially the ones that were installed 80, 90 years ago. We still have some systems in operation that were energized in the early 1920s with the original equipment. The light bulbs have been changed, or the lamps as we call them, but the underground conduit and cable and the poles are all original.
Here's the main entrance to the building. Aside from offices and work areas, this building houses several of the Bureau's museum pieces. On the east wall are several examples of pendant, utility, and Cobra head lights. Some of these have been used and in some cases are still working on bridges and utility poles. Some were or are used on decorative posts, such as those around City Hall or the downtown corridor. And then there are the relatively common Cobra heads. On the north wall are a mix of Cobra heads, mast arm lights, and post-mounted lights that were common in parks and on pedestrian walkways. And now this is the walk. This is the walk I have been looking forward to for hours. This is the Bureau's unofficial museum of LA street lighting. Now for everyone out there, I have to be the bearer of bad news. This museum is not open to the public. We got in with special permission from the Bureau, but we're happy to be your eyes and ears and we'll show it to you now. Let's be clear, not every streetlight from LA's history has been kept, but the best examples here have been saved. In many cases, what you see is the only example of its kind left in existence, and once it's gone, it's gone. There are bridge lights. There are post-mounted and wall-mounted lanterns. Oh, and tucked in the middle is a keystone timing box. There are more bridge lights. Do you see that radial light? It's an oldie from the DWP. There's some pendant lights, and then there's the Wilshire Special. We're coming up on the torch styles, which we still use variants of today. On the north wall are more classic lamps, including the 1906 model. But before I use up all of my time, I want to invite Chris Mossman back in to tell you, some of the things he wants you to know about his department.
What I really want them to know is that we all take pride in our street lighting system. We all live and breathe street lighting. For most people that drive up and down the streets, most people don't notice there are street lights. Actually, before I started with the Bureau of Street Lighting back 25 years ago, I have no interest, I didn't even know what a street light was. But now everywhere I go, everywhere I look, I always check out the street lights in my travels around the world. I even got my wife looking at them now because they really do take a piece of history from a city. A lot of it's art, architecture, and not only do they bring safety to the streets, but they brings a little something extra to the community when you have a special type of light. And everyone here at the Bureau of Street Lighting really loves our street lights and take pride in everything we do every day.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, very welcome. Thank you for having me.
This is Newswire LA, and I'm your host, Chin Thomasangsy. Well, that concludes our look inside of the City of Los Angeles' Bureau of Streetlighting. We hope over the past few reports that you've gained a new appreciation for what this group does for us each and every day. Also, we want you to keep an eye on the LED conversions that are taking place throughout the city. It's really exciting, and it's taking street lighting into a whole new direction. You'll be seeing more reports from inside City Hall on future broadcasts, so stay tuned. If you want to keep up with Newswire LA, look us up on Facebook and Twitter at Newswire LA. That's it, and for all of us here at Newswire LA, we thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here next time. Stay tuned for more news on this Westlake Signal station.